Oops. Well, welcome for another evening of Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition show. And welcome to the spring-like fall weather we're having here tonight, And then I think over the weekend it's supposed to go up to 70 and then 80. So expect anything here in the city. I know many of us probably have all started putting away our winter stuff, but you should always leave
Without
out some long,
again.
yeah, leave out some long sleeves just in case, because
Exactly.
the weather can go either way here. But thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and remember to like, subscribe, and comment and share, of course. And we lost our guest, but he'll be coming back soon. Sometimes we get those connections where we loot, and he's coming right back. So okay, he's still okay. Don't worry about it, Huddy, because those things happen. So, can you hear us, Huddy?
Yes, I can hear
Can
you.
you hear us?
It started. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we hear you. Okay, I know that sometimes the connection goes that way, and you'll go away. So if it happens again,
Yeah.
just be patient and just keep on plugging back in. And if you will, can position your camera, because
Okay.
we just seeing the top of your head. We want to see that nice gray beard you got there. All right.
Okay. All right, we see it now.
All right. Okay, and our special guest tonight is Huddie Williams. And he's went to Narcom and went to Craddock, but then years later got his Narcom degree. uh, but maybe that'll come up.
Yes.
You can talk about that. And plus tonight, and the Colonel. Well, welcome. We have Leah J. Stitt, the co-host here, and the Colonel is at another meeting. So tonight we're going all Truxton. All of us grew up in the Truxton neighborhood, which
Neighborhood.
is which is quite appropriate because next month Truxton is celebrating, historic Truxton is celebrating 105 years of existence, and every 5 years we have a celebration of a community that once was self-sustaining and has been around for 105 years now. But we'll talk more about that later with Chester Benton. He's already been on the show. But tonight we have Huddie here, Huddie Williams, and welcome, Huddie.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, okay, and might be a delay there, but we have Huddie here, and he's here to talk about some experiences he's gone through, health-wise, and we'll let him. Well, first, Huddie, we appreciate you coming on and talking about something that's personal to many people, but I feel like a lot of times with these situations, it's therapeutic for the person, the patient talking about it, and it's also good for the people that might be watching and listening. And you never know who you might affect, or somebody that might think about, maybe I need to get checked. And especially in the African American community with our men and women, but especially our men who might not check themselves as often as they should. So this is going to be a very informational show as we get to experience what you went through. So tell us tell us when you first started and noticing something. Did you notice something? And Huddy had to deal with prostate cancer. And did you notice something within yourself, or was it a routine doctor visit, or it was something that you noticed and said, I better check this out?
Well, first of all, James, you're right about it being therapeutic for me. It has been, and it really got me out my comfort zone because this is a subject I wouldn't be easy for me to talk about to anybody. So I think God has been using me to spread the word to other men. Just last week, I spoke to the Sigmas, the fraternity in Hampton, and
Hmm.
I've just been going around volunteering my time and doing that. But it was first noticed when I was going years before I came down with prostate cancer. He noticed my PSA level had went from 0 to 1.3. And he said it was no problem. Sometime with age, men, our PSA numbers will go up. And so the next year went from 1.3 to 2.3. And about the seventh year, it got to 3.9. So he said, I think it's time for you to go see a urologist. So he sent me to Urology of Virginia. And they did blood work and they took urine samples and they did a rectal exam. And so he said, well, come back in a year. I came back in a year, my PSA level had jumped from 3.9 to 5.9. And he said, well, I think it's now time for you to have a biopsy. So March of 2022, March the 15th, as a matter of fact, I had the biopsy. They took 10 samples of my prostate, and 8 were benign and 2 were cancerous. And so I got the results off of my chart and I showed them to my wife and I asked her, I said, does this mean I have cancer? And she said, I think so, but we're going to wait till you have your follow-up. So, and it was during COVID and it was really rough trying to get doctor's appointments.
Yes.
So we did a Zoom visit with my urologist and he said, yes, you do have prostate cancer, but don't worry, you're not going to die. We caught it early. And I had already done some research on the different treatments for prostate cancer because my brother had it and he had the surgery to remove his and he suffered. I saw the side effects of what he went through and I knew I didn't want to have surgery. And then one of my best friends had the radiation seeds and he told me the side effects from that. And I didn't want that. So I told the urologist, I said, I want to have proton therapy. And so he said, well,
So
we don't handle that.
how
You
did
have to
you?
call Hampton University Proton Institute.
Yeah, how
And
did you
that's
find?
what I did.
How did you find out about the proton? You said you were doing research when you first found out about it. And before you get to that,
Ye-
how was your mental state when you first? I'm just trying to think about because I know I went through something like that and how I felt when I first heard you know you need a new heart. How did it hit you when
ye-
thinking about, okay, I might
Yeah.
have cancer and it's a big
It,
possibility, because that's an important part of the beginning of your healing, really, being able to accept
yes. Well, I'm a retired engineer and tech from the Norfolk Navy shipyard. So my career, my job, we had to do a lot of research. And so my mind just went right into that research mode.
it.
I
Hmm.
mean, it was a shock at first, but I'm like, let me see what I can do to get this taken care of. That was my main focus. I just went right to doing the research, and I didn't allow myself time to just woe with me kind of thing, or just sit and and just stare and be quiet and those sort of things. I just went into research mode of which which was the best option for me to treat this because the doctor had already told me they caught it early. You're not going to die. And so that was comforting enough for me just to know that they had caught it early. And and I did the research on proton therapy, and then I called them the next day and set up a consultation. And my wife went with me, and I saw Dr. Thompson, Dr. Thornton. That's his name, Dr.
Okay.
Alan
Yes.
Thornton. He
Yes.
was the one of the ones that started the program with Dr. Harvey, used to be the president of Hampton University. So
Hmm.
I had the right doctor, and I had an hour-long consultation with him. Everything went well, and they checked my insurance because everybody's insurance doesn't pay for proton therapy too. I found that out, and I don't know
Hmm.
why that is, but mine took care of it, and I didn't have to pay. I didn't have to pay one penny out of pocket. And so, but they have to work a plan for the type of prostate cancer you have. So And they did. I had to have 44 treatments. And those treatments, you have to go Monday through Friday. But and the treatments only last like 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I'm there for about an hour total. And then I go home. And, you know, and I come back the next day and they do another treatment. And, you know, until the 44 treatments are finished. And it took me about 2 months and a couple of days to finish mine. And then I got to ring the bell.
Have to
But
ring
as
that
far as the
bell.
symptoms are concerned, yes, ma'am. And we took pictures, you know, and I actually shedded some tears, you know, because it was a long journey. And that was another thing. When my wife and I left the consultation, she said, "Won't you take a picture in front of the sign in front of the institute?" I said, "No, I don't want to do that." So we started walking to the car, and I thought, and something just said, "Take the picture." And I said, "Let's go back and take the picture." And I took the picture. She took two. And later on that night, I said, you know what, this might can help somebody. So I posted the pictures on Facebook on my page, and all I said was, "And the journey begins."
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of people, I didn't say I had counseled. I just said, "And the journey begins." And the number of people that responded and uplifted my spirit. You know, they were just saying, "Hey, man, you got this. We praying
Mm-hmm.
for you." And even Pastor Merlin, he saw it. Everybody knew that I was there without me saying that I had cancer. They knew I was there for that. And it was things like that that really helped me, and along with my faith in God. Yeah, but some of the signs and symptoms of prostate cancer is blood in your urine. Uh, the steady stream flow is not steady. It's kind of broken up, you know, when you're trying to
Intermittent.
urinate.
Mm-hmm.
Waking up at night 3, 4, and 5 times going to the bathroom. Those are the three major signs, and that's what I had started experiencing. You know,
And you
Leah?
said your brother also had proton therapy, Lord, I'm sorry, had prostate cancer. Um, how old was he when his was detected?
my brother was he was around 49. He was 49 years old. Yep.
And he
And
chose
and
to go
I
through the
and that's
surgery.
probably why they said now men need to get. Yes, he had the surgery, and
Uh-huh.
he had to wear a coloscopy bag afterwards. I mean, and I, you know, and my brother lived down the street from me. We both lived in Suffolk, and I used to
Mm-hmm.
go to his house to check on him, and I'm like, I can't do that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just too much. Proton therapy has to zero to very little side effects. Only
Gotcha.
side
Mm-hmm.
effect I had was probably the first 2 weeks. I was tired, but I think I
Mm-hmm.
was tired from the stress of it all and trying to get the doctor's appointments because it was during COVID
Uh-huh.
and whatnot. But once I got the treatments going and my mind and my spirit started settling down, and I was, you know, and I was okay because I drove myself there every day. You know,
Uh-huh.
my wife took off a couple of days, you know, to drive me to give me a break from driving myself there. But they treated you really well there. I mean, we became like family.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody from the doctors to technicians, anybody that had anything to do with my care, you know, just like family. You know, I
They
mean,
they are
I
they
didn't
are very
mind going. I really
they
didn't.
are very professional at proton therapy. We had about my family. We had about with going there, and
Yes.
professionalism is just unbelievable. But the main thing is a lot of people seem to think that proton therapy just came about when it started on the Hampton University camp at Hampton University. However, in doing my research, I found that it was actually started in 1946. Now, Hampton is now the largest facility off
Leah,
of throughout the nation. It's the largest. They have 30 proton cancer treatment
yes.
centers around the nation, and Hampton was eighth, uh, rose the eighth center to rise to prominence, and has evolved to become the largest
Leah,
freestanding facility of its kind in the world. So it's not anything that just started. A lot of people think that it just started, but It's
Yeah,
been around
something
for
new.
quite
Yeah.
some time. And it's also important that I
Yes,
know
Leah, you are so correct.
and you know, and I know a lot of people
You are
think
correct,
of.
Dr.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Dr. Thornton told me that in 1962 they were doing this kind of treatment in Germany, in
Exactly.
Europe, but
Exactly.
it was late getting to the United States. You
Mm-hmm.
are
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. It's not new, but it was new to us, but not
New to
new
us.
to the
Mm-hmm.
world.
You
Yeah,
know, and hold on.
and Hampton is the largest proton
It
institute.
is.
Mhm.
They have people coming from Hawaii there for treatment.
Mm-hmm.
They have people come from North Carolina, all kinds of different states. You know.
Yeah, I want to let the audience know it's sort of like a delay between us. So if it sounds like we're stepping over each other, it's only because it's a delay. And Huddie is in Suffolk, and Suffolk has always been behind Portsmouth, so that's the reason. But anyway, Huddie, I want to ask you a
Look,
question.
look,
Huddie, I want to ask you
go
I want
ahead,
to ask you a
James.
question. Uh, Do you know? Can you explain the difference between the regular radiation treatment? Because the proton is sort of like a form of radiation, but it's different the way they administer it.
Centralized.
You know, radiation comes from X-rays, and the proton is well. I'm answering my own question, which I tend to do. But uh, can you explain the difference between the proton therapy treatment and radiation? And you already said it's a little, but none side effects, which is different
Yes,
with the radiation.
yeah, regular radiation, they give you a higher dosage of it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Proton therapy, what they do, they put these before you get the treatment. You have like an outpatient surgery where they put these markers on each side of your body. It looks like a cross, and then one on top with your pelvis. And the beam recognizes those markers, and it only gives you a small dosage. One day you come in for treatment, they do the left side. You come in the next day, they do the right side, and the third day they do on top of your pelvis, and then they just keep rotating it. It's such a small dosage that it doesn't give you any side effects. We had gentlemen though that was leaving work and going to get treatment and going back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You know,
Which
but regular radiation, you get a larger doses of it, which gives you all the side effects, like
mhm.
your losing of your hair and things like that, and you're real tired and you're vomiting and all that. There's none of that with proton therapy, none at all.
Okay, and I think you probably would you say to the men that go through the proton therapy, even though you get a chance to ring that bell, that it's important to still keep up with what's going on with your body as far as being early recognized as having a prostate cancer. Don't just think you're home free, but making sure that you still keep up and listen to your body's signs and everything like that.
Oh yeah, well, once you finish your treatments, they still bring you in. They bring you in 3 months later to check your PSA. And then 3 months after that, they bring you in again. And they also talk to you about diet. You have to change your diet. Like I
Hmm.
don't eat a lot of red meat anymore. I eat more vegetables and I drink more water.
Hmm.
And those are things that we can help ourselves by doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat a lot of sugar and whatnot. I cut out a lot of sugar. I've never eaten a lot of salt anyway. So that was one benefit. But and exercise. Matter of fact, when I was taking my treatments, I was still going to Planet Fitness and
Mm.
working out 3 days a week.
And you probably couldn't do that
Yeah. So
on
so
radiation
your
treatment.
diet and exercises will help you too.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh no way. My brother there's no way my brother could have went in and did that. You
Mm-hmm.
can't do that. But I would say this too. The biggest thing I try to pass on to the men is first thing I do, I ask them, do you have a primary care physician? And if you do, how often do you go for your physicals? Because your primary care physician, he or she is the first line of defense. They're the ones that can catch these things. They can see the changes in your body, just like mine did with my PSA level. He knows it went from 0 to 1.3. If I hadn't been
Mhm.
going to my primary care physician, and just been living my life, it could have been worse, and I might not be here speaking to you guys now.
Indeed.
So I try to get men to go see your doctors, let them do the blood work and take urine samples, and that's how they analyze and can tell what's going on in your body. And none of us can see inside our bodies. Not one person. You can feel good, for a while, and something could be brewing on the inside. You won't even know if you don't go to the doctor.
And as you stated, it's very important for you to know your body, to pay attention. Your body gives you signs when things are not going well with you. So it's important that you listen to those signs, adhere to those signs, and don't sit on the signs. Go and get medical treatment and find out what's going on. You're being afraid to go and talk to a doctor about what changes are taking place in your body is only prolonging the illness within your body. It's not going to make it go away. So it's important that you go and be checked out to make sure that everything is okay. Because as you stated, you caught yours early. Now, I know some people who had prostate cancer and they didn't catch theirs early. And they're suffering with it having spread into their back and to other areas of their body because they failed to get the treatment that they needed early. Prostate cancer is one of those cancers that if you catch it early, you will be okay. So it's important to get out there and have those examinations done.
Yes.
It's so important because I
Exactly,
go
Leo. And
go ahead, honey.
yes, last week when I was talking to the Sigmas in Hampton, this one young man, you could tell he was hanging on to every word I was saying. And he said that a month ago he had just buried one of his brothers that lived in Mississippi because he didn't go to the doctor. He was in pain. The cancer spread it so far in his body. He was in such pain. He just wouldn't go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And we men, for some reason, don't talk about these things,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to get men to start talking about their health and going to doctors. We keep things inside of us and won't tell other people. Like I have two grown sons, they're in their 40s. So once I got diagnosed with, I had to tell them so they could go get checked.
Exactly.
And I stay on them. When they go to their doctor, I ask them, what did the doctor say about your PSA level? What did he say about this or that and the other and whatnot? So, we cannot be afraid to talk about these things amongst us in the African American community.
Exactly.
Yeah, you made a good point
And
there,
one other
honey.
thing too. One
Go
other
ahead.
thing.
I was going to say
The Proton Institute, they do more than prostate cancer. They treat cancer that women have. They treat children's adolescent cancers and everything.
Pediatric cancer.
So it's just not just for prostate cancer. Yes,
You're
that's
right,
what I was trying
Huddle.
to say.
They
So I want the viewers to realize.
Yes, Huddle. They do brain and spine. They do breast cancer, prostate cancer, GI,
yes,
head and neck, lungs, and pediatric. But it's when it's centralized, as long as it has not spread to any other part of your body. So as long as the cancer is centralized, they can treat it, because that's the good thing about proton therapy, is that it hits only that area that it needs to hit. It doesn't hit any of your other organs or other places within your body. So as long as that cancer is centralized, if you have brain, spine, breast, prostate, GI, any of those cancers, you can go and have proton therapy done.
Yeah, thank you, Leah, for saying that, because I failed to mention that about the beam only being directed to the cancer and no other organs.
Exactly.
So no other organs are affected at all.
Yeah, I wanted to say too, Huddie, that you brought up the part about men talking about it, and a lot of men shy away from even talking to their families about things that are going on. excuse me, and just like you mentioned, you have to involve your family because those things that you might forget, your brother or your wife, your spouse is going to remind you certain things you need to do, especially if you go away from your diet or something like that. Because, and people might think, it's everybody talks to their family, but a lot of men are so private. They're private away from their own families, immediate families. They'll go to the doctor and come back and say everything's fine. But you just have to have that communication that starts in the house because that immediate family or those caregivers are going to remind you of what you need to do, even if you forget sometimes. So that's very, very important, keeping that communication lines open in the
Yeah.
family. And a lot
And
of people think, go ahead.
yeah, and I want to give a shout out to my wife because my wife, I couldn't have gone through this without her. She was with me every step of the way and on this journey. And because some of the things the doctor was saying to me, it was just so much I couldn't keep up with. My wife took
Yeah.
notes. She went to every visit that I had that was important, and she checked on me all the time, make sure I was okay. So I just want to give my wife Angela a shout out, and she's done a wonderful job and putting up with me when I didn't feel good all the time, because I was kind of me having cancer was way kind of heavy on my mind and my heart some days.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it can change your attitude. But Huddy,
Yeah.
and going through what you went through with the prostate cancer, that's enough in itself. But then, after you rang the bell and everything's going well, you had another challenge. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, the very next year, last year, as a matter of fact, I got diagnosed with Graves' disease.
Oh, wow.
I started getting really tired after my workouts, and I couldn't sleep at night. And then sometimes my heart felt like it was racing and things, and I kept losing all this weight. So I went back to my doctor. I said, something's not right with me. So he said, well, he told me to drink some boost and add another day to my workout. So I did that, and it just made it worse. I went back to him, and he drew blood from me, and he said, "Mr. Williams, you have Graves' disease," and I never heard of Graves' disease before. I said, "What is that?" He said, "It's thyroid disease,"
Mm.
and I said, "I thought that was something that women get, because when I was a kid, I used to always hear the older women say." My thyroid acting up today or
Yeah.
something. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
You never heard a
we little
man say
kids,
that.
we didn't ask no questions about what
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right. And so the doctor asked me, does it run in my family? I said, well, my dad didn't have it and my brother didn't. So he said, I'm going to send you to see an endocrinologist. And
Mm-hmm.
so I went home and I texted all three of my sisters and asked them, did they have it? And lo and behold, the oldest and the youngest have it.
Mm-hmm.
My older sister's 10 years older than me. She's had it since she was 29. And she has hypothyroidism.
Mm.
And that's what I have. And my
Mm-hmm.
baby sister has hypo. And
Uh-huh.
hypo makes you gain weight.
Yes.
I have the one that makes you lose weight. I was 180 pounds. I got down to 149.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't wear any of my clothes. And to me, I think it was almost worse than the prostate cancer. I couldn't sleep at
How did
night.
it,
I had insomnia. I mean,
how did they treat yours? I had a bout with
so I
hyperthyroidism back in my younger days, and it was very stressful. As you say, you lose weight. Now I started losing some hair, was losing some of my hair, and not being able to sleep, and all of those things. How did they end up treating yours?
Well, once I went to see the endocrinologist, and, everybody wanted to draw blood, so he drew
Yeah.
blood too and whatnot, and they
Vampires.
weighed me and yeah, and ran some other tests, and he told me what I had. He put me on a pill uh
Uh-huh.
called
Mm.
methyl
Synthroid.
methyl something or another. I can't pronounce the name of it.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and I had to take the pill twice a day, once in the morning
Uh-huh.
and once in the evening. And so that started October of last year. And so when this year came about, I think it was February, they changed the pill from me taking it twice a day to once a day, but I still have to be monitored every 3 months. And a lot of the symptoms had eased up, like the shaking of my hand, the trembling of my hand, and being tired, and I got my weight back. So, and I was really self-conscious about that. You know, I got 4 days to get yourself together, and you going back to church. So I went and brought me some smaller pairs of jeans and some shirts, and I went back. And I'm glad she did make me go back, because it helped my spirit, it helped
Yeah.
my mind, to do.
And the sad thing, you be on these thyroid
But
pills, it seems forever.
when October this year come, the doctor has to reevaluate me, because if I'm not where I should be, then there's 2 options.
We lost him again.
We lost him there but he should be back in a minute. And I'll share too, Leah. And I had a bout with that, but it was all during the time I was dealing with heart failure. So that was the main thing. And in order to continue to deal with my heart failure and prepare for a heart that would come at some point, I had to they had to take the thyroids out.
Oh, okay.
Because it would have
interfered with your
it would have interfered with it would have interfered with me as far as what I was going through with the heart.
Y'all
so
hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
We got you now. I think it might be my internet. Like James said, Suffolk, we out here.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
We out here. Yeah. And we got glow fiber now, putting fiber optics in the ground.
Oh, okay. Well,
out here to give us another internet provider.
Yeah, and that's going to make it better once they do that. Once they do that. But anyway, when you went out, I was telling Leah about my bout with the thyroids and doing the heart failure thing, and they had to take my thyroids, and now I had to take medication, because there's not too many things they can take out of your body that you don't really need.
Exactly.
Except maybe your appendix, and maybe so pancreas. So have to take medication for that. But it's something very common, and that was another thing, another reason to keep up with what's going on in your body. And like we always say, pay attention. Your body is talking to you every day. It's either telling you you're doing fine, or it's telling you something is wrong. And a lot of times men will shake it off and say, okay, I don't feel it. I feel it today, but I won't feel it tomorrow, so I'm okay. But if you feel it today, it's going to come back at some other time. So
it's
best to go ahead and check it out. Make sure you check it out.
So they removed yours. They gave me a radioactive iodine to kill mine off. So, but I'm on thyroid medication, and I know I've been on that thyroid medication for over 20 years now.
Yeah. And I'll be on mine for the rest of my life, because I actually don't have a thyroid, and the thyroids serve a purpose. And if you don't have them, you have to, have something to replace it. But Huddie, you're back, and so after all of that, and I want to mention this too. We often talk about this part when we have shows on medical shows or on health awareness about your faith and how your faith can carry you through. But you also need that medical attention, along with the faith, and not think the faith alone can heal you. But that faith is very important. I don't think I could have made it through what I went through without a strong faith and belief that a higher power was really in control of what was going to happen to me one way or another.
Exactly. And we need the prayers of others, our friends and our families too, and people just call in to check on you, say how you doing.
Yeah.
All those things are important when you going through having health issues.
Yeah, and just keeping your spirits up, and just like you said, once you start experiencing the weight loss and feeling bad and everything, you sort of backed away from going to church, and sometimes that physical contact of just being around other people with the same faith was helpful. And on the encouragement of Pastor Mariner, Dr. Mariner, and your wife giving you that ultimatum. You
Yes.
got 4 days to get back in church, or I don't know what the or else was, but you you didn't want to know what the or
Yeah.
else was, so you went on back to church. So, and that was important, but that was important, and it sort of made you feel better because sometimes you be self-conscious, you lose a lot of weight, or you look a little different. You think people gonna treat you different. People just, people that know your spirit, it doesn't matter how physically you look, long as your spirit is still there and you're working on getting better, So
Mhm.
most of the time it's in our minds how people are going to perceive us when we're going through something. But most people that
And you
love you, or, you know,
you're exactly right, because that's the way I was thinking and feeling. I'm like, I can't go out here looking like a crackhead. People will think I'm on crack or something.
They're thinking
And,
something else
and
is
so
wrong with you, right?
yeah, but when I went back, people hardly even noticed.
Uh-huh.
People, everybody treated me the same. So like you said, it was all in my mind.
hmm and that interaction was important. So you're doing well with that now. So, you know, and it's just amazing to go through what you talked about earlier in the show, and then to come back a year later and to go through something else that most people never even have to experience through their lifetime. And you went to two different things. So, it's always a
Yeah,
test out there, a test of our faith and our belief. And
exactly.
when you
And
think
when you think
everything,
you
go ahead.
when you think you having a hard time, somebody else is doing worse
Exactly.
than you.
Exactly.
Somebody else is doing worse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
is so true.
And shout out to Marie Norfleet, who's watching, and said, "Praise God for the tough love and challenge from your wife and Dr. Mariner." And thank you, Marie, and another Truxton night
Oh
that
yeah.
chimed in.
Hello, Marie. Hello, Marie.
Yep,
It
yep,
was
yep.
good seeing her at the class reunion last year.
Yeah, to get away from the health just a minute, I just want to talk. How was it? You were one of those people that went to Norcom and got caught in. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
When he comes back, I'll ask him. He's coming right back, so you
Uh-huh.
get him. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was going to switch from the health a little bit. I wanted to get into the Narcum thing, and you were one of those people that went to Narcum, like most of us in Truxton did. Went to Narcum, and then it got to that point where they were trying to integrate all the schools, so they took a significant. Well, everybody in Truxton had to go to Craddock, and you got
Right.
caught right in your last year, right before your senior year, right?
Right at my senior year.
Right at your senior year, and had to go to Craddock.
Mm.
And you know, after you spent most of your time at IC Norcom, but years later, somebody came up with the idea of making sure they recognize that class of 73 because they had spent so much time at Norcom and made sure that they got their degrees or their diplomas from IC Norcom. How was that? I mean, what kind of, because as long as it took, you probably had just, wasn't even thinking about that. You just wish you had been able to complete your senior year at Norcom. And in any school that you spend 3 years at, and then your last year they send you somewhere else, has to be sort of devastating. But I think it was like 20 years later, the school recognized that class and gave them degrees, diplomas from IC Norcom.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was the class that never was. They called it the class that never was. And that
Yeah, the class that never was.
uh-huh.
Go ahead, Huddie. How was that feeling? You know, I knew it had to
I,
feel good.
well, actually, when they did that, they changed Norfolk to a VOTEC school. And
Hmm.
we could still go there, but they were only accepting 500 students. So you had to have a certain grade point average to go there. And then you had to
Hmm.
take a certain course. Well, I signed up for data processing. I got accepted. So I went the first week. When I got there, it was a it was a rude awakening. Everybody I knew was gone just about. And I mean, I'm like, where's everybody at? All my friends gone. So I ended up transferring to Craddock, which was the worst mistake I could have made. I should have stayed at Norcom.
Of course it was.
And
Of course it was.
the teachers at Craddock, the teachers at Norcom and the principal, they were terrible towards us. The kids were fine. We had no problem with the kids, but
You
certain
mean the
teachers
teacher, the
were
credit?
just racist. I'm gonna call it what it is. Yes.
At Craddock.
Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just fortunate. I already, yes, at Craddock. I was fortunate enough. All I needed was English and government to graduate, but I also
Mm.
took ICT because I had a job at Portsmouth General Hospital. So I left after those three classes and I went to work. So I really didn't get to know a lot of the students, but the way the principals and some of the teachers.
Is he frozen?
I think he froze there for a minute. He's
Uh-huh.
come back.
We got to work on that Suffolk Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Went away. He'll be back. I think he's
Yes.
frozen there for a minute, and hopefully he'll come back soon. But that experience, having to go there because I had a one excuse me, a 1 year experience going to Wilson, like in 1968,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. The students there were okay, but it was the teachers who were the older ones, old school, weren't ready for that integration thing.
Right,
So it's the
right.
teachers and the administrations where we had the problem. And I was just trying to, they opened up schools for us to go to. I was just trying to see the other side.
Uh-huh.
And I think we got Huddie back.
I
Uh-huh.
moved to another part of. Yeah, I moved to another part of the house.
Oh, okay.
Good.
So hopefully that'll help. But the last thing you said about it was about the teachers and administration, and you didn't spend much time there because you were there half a day and then you worked. So I think you're getting to the point. So how did it feel like 20 years later to be
Right.
recognized as a Norcomite? Oh, you might not
There.
have heard.
Huddle. Huddy. I think he's probably frozen again.
Yeah, it looks like it.
But it was a
And
beautiful ceremony they had for those
Can y'all
students
hear me
who
now?
we can hear you
yeah,
now.
we got you now. Go ahead.
How did it feel to get that diploma after waiting all of those years to get that Norcom diploma?
Oh, it was great, and I was shocked that they even let us do it. But I found out that Orlena Bracy, one of my childhood friends from Truxton, she's a
Another.
cousin of Dr. Bracy, the
Yes.
superintendent. And
Uh-huh.
she had been planting the seed in his ear for about over a year. He didn't want it. She said he didn't want to do it at first. But after a year, I think he did some research and found out exactly what happened to us.
Hmm.
And then
Uh-huh.
they agreed to let us graduate in, I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it was a big event. We had a lot of the students come back for that graduation.
It was a beautiful ceremony.
Yeah. Just like the regular
I'm
ceremony.
Uh-huh.
officially a Greyhound.
Officially.
Well, even if that
Yeah,
hadn't happened, you still would have been a
yes.
Greyhound. But
They
that just made it.
Exactly. Once you walk through those doors and walk those hollowed halls, you are officially a Greyhound. Okay?
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I had brought my class ring from Norcom my junior year.
Oh,
Mm.
My class
good.
ring was a
Okay.
Norcom class ring. My junior
So you
year. Yeah.
so you
So
planted the seed early. You planted that seed. You knew
yes,
you were going to get a Northern
so I
diploma.
didn't want. Yeah. So I didn't want to be the only person out of 5 kids in my family not to graduate from Norcom. Even my oldest son graduated from Norcom. He was in the last graduating class in the building that we went to.
The old Turnpike
Yep,
Road
my
building.
oldest son. He was the last grad. Yes, he was in that last graduating class. My
Uh-huh.
oldest son. So
Well, that's
I
good.
so I made it in.
You made it in. You showed them a thing or two, that's for sure.
Yes.
So he
Yeah.
sealed the deal.
Oh yeah.
Heidi, I want to go back to the health thing
Yeah.
just for a minute as we move on. And you know, you say you go around and talk to a lot of people. You talk to brothers of fraternity, and right now, what would be your message to our audience about your experience and you kind of talked about it as we were going with the conversation, but I want to hear what do you say when you go out and talk to different people? What is your speech, and how do you uh, try to get to the audience that you might have at the time? What would you say to them right now?
To get tested, go to your doctors, your primary care physician. They're the first line of defense for you to find out what's going on with your body. No matter if it's prostate cancer, high blood pressure, any of those things, they're the first line of defense, and they can catch it. And if need be, put you on medication or have you change your diet, whatever's necessary, because you don't have to die and you don't have to suffer.
And that's so important because in all those different areas of health, diseases, and things like that, in African American, we are ranked highest, percentage wise, as having those diseases like that prostate cancer, heart disease, and all the different things. We are ranked right up there. So it's even more important for us to get the word out to our communities to be more aware and take care of your bodies, because it's a lot of people out there that depend on you. If you're a family man or if you have brothers and sisters and things like that, sometimes it takes thinking beyond yourself. But think about those people that love and depend on you. And I'm not talking about financially, but depend on you to be here and live a long life. And sometimes you just have to think in that way. If you don't care about yourself, think about the people around you and the
And
people
it's
that
like you
love you.
said that
Yeah, and that's
you also have to be proactive in your treatment. He
Hmm.
took the time to do the
Right.
research to find out what was the best course of action for him, and he made sure that he did all that he needed to do so that he could get the treatment that would be most beneficial to him. And that's what we all have to do. Sometimes, a doctor may say you need to take this pill or take that pill, but sometimes you need to research it for yourself to see what impact it's going to have upon your body before making that decision. So take charge of your body and your health.
Mhm.
Huddy?
yes, yes, yes. Slim, what you just said is always part of my talk when I'm speaking to a group of men about wanting to be around for your family and your loved ones.
Mhm.
They want you around themselves. So do the
Yes,
best you
Yeah.
can. I mean, we're all gonna die eventually, but we don't have to go before our time.
Right.
exactly.
And prostate cancer is curable. You can live a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just
That is
just being
true.
proactive is the key. Is the key to it.
Yes.
And it's important to note also that over 100,000 people have been treated on the Hampton campus.
Wow,
And that
that's
number's
impressive.
that number is probably higher now than when it was at the time when
Ye-
I did the research. So over 100,000 people have gone through proton therapy. So therefore, that tells you when you catch that cancer early, and it can be targeted to a certain spot. You can get treatment and get well quicker without all the side effects that come with some of the other forms of treatment. So, do your research, people out there, and see what's taking place.
Yeah, Leah, and I think so too that it was so important. I think in the beginning, and you did say it's been out since the 40s, but as far as on Hampton and being available at Hampton, and in the beginning, a lot of insurance companies didn't cover it. But I
Exactly.
think those figures you just mentioned, that's a lot of proof. And I think more and more insurance companies are covering. I think Huddy said his was covered 100%, and more companies are approving it, as opposed to maybe years ago when they, just didn't have enough evidence of how well it worked.
Yeah, when they thought it was experimental,
Right, right.
although it had been utilized outside of this country and within this country, but not in freestanding facilities. So, to have it in a freestanding facility and to get the results that they're getting now, I'm sure it makes insurance companies more likely to pay for the treatment. And plus, it's really costing them less because you have less side effects that you have to
Yeah.
deal with when you go through proton therapy, as opposed to some of the other ways of treating cancer.
And in reality, it might have a little something to do with it being on Hampton's campus,
Exactly,
if you
exactly,
want to be real about it.
exactly,
Mm.
exactly.
And one other
I
thing
agree.
too is that they changed the name from Hampton University Proton Institute to Hampton University Proton Institute and Cancer Research Center.
Exactly.
Now they can get funding because they doing
Because of the
research. They
research,
said they
the
were
Research, right.
already
research
doing a
portion.
little bit of research, but
Exactly.
now, right, the research would allow them to get funding.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of
Yeah,
fact,
and
was just in February they had a new logo dedication
Exactly.
and name change dedication, and I was there for that. And Shannon Glover, the mayor from Portsmouth, was there too,
mhm.
and
Okay.
April Woodard from Coastline, she was there, and the Hampton's mayor and some other dignitaries were
Uh-huh.
there, and it was an unveiling of the logo and the name
Uh-uh.
change, and they explained why they added the research part to it.
Yeah, for the funding, and then when you have the research, while they are helping people, they're also doing the research, and then, it might be to the point where they can treat people where they might be a little further on, along with the cancer, as opposed to,
Right.
you still want to catch it early. That's the most important thing. But as long as they're doing research, new things can happen as far as the treatment of it. So.
That's true.
Exactly.
That is true.
But Huddy, we want to thank you very much for coming on, and going to have you back, and as soon as Suffolk catches up to Portsmouth as far as the internet. But I think we were in sync well enough for you to get we were in sync well enough for you to get the message out that we wanted to get out to our audience about how important it is to be health conscious, and just be aware. Make sure you uh, take control of what's going on in your body so you can live a long life, because we all have
Yes, and
something
I
to offer. Mm.
yes we do. And I thank you guys for allowing me to share my story and inviting me on the
Thank
show
you.
this evening. And
Thank
continue
you
to do
so
the
very
work
much.
that you guys are doing too, because I follow y'all just about every week.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you. And any last words, Leah, before we sign off?
Well, I want to thank Huddy because Huddy brought some valuable information to us today, especially encouraging the men to check on your bodies and to have your prostate checked, especially if you have had members of your family who suffer from that condition. And also at a younger age, probably starting at 40 now. He also offered us the different options that are available to you, and the fact that you need to do your research and you find the best possible option for yourself. So, Huddie, I want to thank you so very much for being proactive and taking care of your health. I want to thank your wife for being there beside you this entire time to encourage you through the whole process, and Dr. Mariner, who took the time to also encourage you. So, I want to thank you for what you brought to the Coffee Talk family today, and we appreciate you, and we would appreciate hearing more from you in the future. So thank you so very much for sharing on today.
You're so very welcome.
Yeah, and I like to thank Leah. You thanked his wife and Dr. Mariner. I also like to thank the members of Grove, who were
Exactly.
there, also there for me when I went through, when I was going through my medical conditions. So, Grove and I guess many other churches are really a good place to be when you're going through something. It's just being around people that have the same faith that you have, and just appreciate you the way you are, whatever you're going through. So just
Exactly.
want to thank the members of Grove. I'll be thanking them the rest of my life for the role they played in my recovery. Okay. So thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate you, and remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and share this story with anybody you know, especially in our African American communities, where it's so important that I can't say it enough, where we are health conscious and aware of what's going on with our bodies. And also the ladies, make sure you are aware and check out.
Mammogram time is coming up, ladies.
Mammogram time is here, is always here.
Mammogram.
So make sure, because we want you here. We want everybody to be here as long as you can. Okay, thanks everybody. We appreciate you, and have a great day. And we'll see you next time on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. Take care.
Thank you, Huddie.
Good night. Good night.